Hi, and this is Gail Minogue. I'm happy to have you back with me again today. And I thought I'd bring up a subject today. The title of this basically is How and When Do We Get Out of Here? People say, what do you mean out of here? I mean out, out of life. We know how we got in here, but how do we get out of here? We know we have to leave here, but the biggest thing that people fear is the unknown of getting out of here. How are we going to do that? Or what Woody Allen once said, he said, I don't mind dying, I just don't want to be there when it happens. And I think that's pretty true. That's probably our biggest fear. And so I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about that. And are there specific ages or times when we're more susceptible to leaving? And I want to talk to you about that. And then how to understand disease a bit more versus you just catch a cold, or was that on purpose? What happened? And so we're here usually for about 120 to 150 years. We just check out way too early because we get caught in race conscious thinking, man-made ideas, and we think midlife is 40 and it isn't. It starts around 60, and so we retire, which is really foolish. And then we begin to sort of have drifting years where we kind of drift into aging, and the center we leave. So you watch this on a regular basis. Some of the times that are most susceptible to leaving ages are 84 to 85 and 88 to 89. These are very common exit times. Not only have your friends already left, family, but you don't have any what we'll call hopes, wishes, and dreams because you didn't plan any. And I bring that back. You want to stay here a long time. The critical age to remember is 60 to 90. You need to have career plans. You need to have dreams. You need to have goals that last 30 years. Okay? Because if you can get through this and have dreams, goals, and wishes for whatever that you're working towards, you will live a very long life. But we have no idea. We plan the first 30 is getting out of childhood. The next 30 is building our careers and our lives. And here we go at 60, we start looking about retirement. It is really foolish. And it ages you and leaves you prematurely out of here. So when you get to 60, you do need to have some idea of what you want to do for the next 30 years. Dreams, goals, and plans. Okay? These are going to keep you active. It's going to tell the body you don't have to check out at 84 to 85. You don't have to leave at 88, 89. The idea is that you're working fully well being in your life, taking care of your physical body, so that you can manage being here for 90 years, and being able to be productive and not full of aches and pains or on life support. That's not what's intended. So you want to remember that. The other fragile time or more vulnerable time of leaving and getting out of here is around your birthday. So when we come into our birthdays, I don't care what age you are, this is a very important time to remember. You'll see in the paper or you'll hear it on the news, and next week that person, if they hadn't died, they would be, 55, their birthday, or they died a week before their birthday or a week after. So you want to take it, a fragile window is 2 weeks before or after your birthday. That's another fragile, vulnerable time to leave. Because the soul is on its journey. It's not, you're using a personality while you're here. But you're not a personality. You're just using it. It's like a tool. I'm going to drive around with this Porsche, okay? But I'm not my Porsche. I may think I'm my Porsche. That's why I love to show my Porsche. But I'm not. So you have a personality, but you're not your personality. It's a tool you use. What you really are is soul. And the soul is choosing all the time what it's going to do, how it's going to direct, etc., through the personality. So you have these specific times. Now, one of the key things you want to remember is a lot of people will decide, how do we get out of here? Well, I'll get a disease that's acceptable, like cancer. That's acceptable. A lot of people have it. We find that's a way to go. Okay, or we get a heart attack. That's another way. That's acceptable to go in society. Hanging yourself in the basement is not an acceptable way to go. Or blowing your brains out in the backyard is not an acceptable way to go. Running into a tree with your car is not an acceptable way to go. So we choose areas too that are more acceptable. That doesn't mean we don't have chemicals and herbicides and all the other stuff that affect the cellular system of the body. But all illness, whether it's the cold, the flu, the cancer, the heart attack, all came from an emotional issue. That's what triggered it. So you will see that in diagnosis of, say, cancer, because it's so common right now, cancer, the underlying emotional trigger for it happened 1.5 to 2 years before diagnosis. So if you have been diagnosed with cancer, you want to take a look at what was going on with you about 1.5 to 2 years prior to diagnosis. What event happened? Did somebody die? Was there just like the last straw and that you couldn't accept it anymore? What happened? This is a very vulnerable time. So the other thing is, once you are diagnosed and then you work on getting better and you do all these things and you get better, if you do not want it to return, then you must work on the emotional issue. So every illness, remember, has an emotional component. And if you decide, many people will decide around the age, somewhere in their 60s, that they don't have any plans for the future. They're going to say help the grandchildren, or they're going to play a lot of golf, or they're going to do these things. But they don't have any real productive work that they're going to do. That doesn't mean you have to have a job, but they have to have a goal, a dream that they're fulfilling just like they did when they were 30 years old. That's key to their living here a long life. Key. They must treat each 30-year block as it's a serious block with plans for that 30-year block. So because everything works in big 30-year blocks here, you are the most vulnerable when you get to be 60 to 90 because most people don't have a plan. They're going to sell their business, they're going to have retirement money, oh yippee-doo, and now they're going to do all the things they wanted to do, what they can do. No. You can sell your business, you can have the money, but what's your next career? What is it going to be? What are you going to do? What's your hopes, wishes, and dreams? And the other thing we do is we burn out the physical body too soon. We run and we run and run and run, and we also work it to death, and we're workaholics, and we do all that by the time, say, that we're in our 50s, so we're worn out, we have circulatory problems, we have erectile dysfunction, and we have all these kinds of things because nobody took care of their circulation, nobody took care of their body well, they just used it, and it's a fine racehorse. You were never to do that. So you're actually here for a long time if you understand what you can do now. Now to help your body stay, watch your emotional levels. Understand everything has an emotional component, whether you believe it or not, you'll find out it's true. Just go back in time, see what triggered it, okay? If you have a lower back problem, why don't you feel the universe supports you? Because if you have a lower back problem, there's a support system problem in your thinking. What doesn't support you? Okay? Where cancer hits in the body is another telltale sign. So we want to try to avoid it. So we take our emotions high, we take care of the physical body, and we have plans for the future. This is critical for your ability to stay. Remember, your most vulnerable times, okay? Some people plan on only being here 5 years. That's all they needed to be here to get the lesson that they needed to learn. So we don't, if a child dies at 5 or 10, there's much more going on than you realize. But we can't understand the invisible world. Most of us don't even try. So we just go by what's going on here, what we can see, touch, and smell. It's unfortunate. But as we evolve and progress in awareness, we will become more familiar with this invisible energy that's constantly working for us and working with us. And we need to understand. One thing I'll leave you with today that you could do to help yourself is when you have your birthday, I want you to set your intentions for what you want to get done that following year from your birthday to birthday. And I want you to meditate on these things. This is a very powerful energy time for you when you come back to the date of your birthday every year. So meditate, have your plan in place for the next year. Always, energy here is moving. Never get stagnant. Never. Never. You want to live, you must keep. I'm Gail Minogue, and I'm so glad you tuned in to my YouTube channel. If you're not a subscriber, I would love it if you subscribe, and then you can get anything new I'm putting out, and I hope to keep putting out more and more. The other thing too is if you need a private session with me, I do those, and it would be very, very helpful. You keep it for the rest of your life. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And you can go to my website, gailminogue.com, and that should be showing on the screen for you. You can also reach me. I have an 800 number even, 800-600-0256. So you can go to my website, check it out. I try to post every week, but I definitely would love to see you on YouTube. And I thank you so much for tuning in.